In 1925, the Army War College releases a report called The Use of Negro Manpower in War.
They came to the conclusion that Negroes are a subspecies of the human family and do not have the smarts, courage, and the integrity to be officers and certainly not pilots.
Benjamin O. Davis, Jr. enters West Point in 1932 as its only African-American cadet.
For the 4 years that he attended, not one of his fellow students spoke to him.
Isolated and addressed only in the line of duty, Davis graduates in the top 15% of his class. He requests assignment to the Army Air Corps, but they do not train black soldiers to be pilots. With World War II approaching, the U.S. military remains segregated, restricting black soldiers to service jobs.
Most of America had doubts and a serious question about my capacity and my capability, based purely on my race.
We urge the President to use his broad powers to stop such grossly unfair policy. Walter White.
The settlement of vexing racial problems cannot be permitted to complicate the tremendous task of the War Department and thereby jeopardize discipline and morale. General George Marshall.
President Franklin Roosevelt faces a tight re-election race in 1940. Union leader A. Philip Randolph and the NAACP's Walter White meet with FDR that September because the black vote becomes pivotal. Not long after, the administration announces the Army will train black pilots for the first time. The Army Air Corps selects the Tuskegee Institute, founded by Booker T. Washington, to train black pilots. Eleanor Roosevelt, in Alabama for a related event, visits the institute.
She said, I've heard that Negroes can't fly, but I see you seem to be doing it around here.
Mrs. Roosevelt takes a flight with Chief Alfred Anderson, now known as the father of black aviation. Their photo will be seen nationwide. 4 months later, Benjamin Davis leads the first class of Tuskegee Airmen to graduate, eventually becoming commander of the all-black 99th Squadron. They deployed to North Africa in April 1943. For every bomber shot down in World War II, the Allied forces might lose 10 or 11 men. General Nathan Twining impresses upon now Colonel Benjamin Davis the critical importance of fighter plane escorts.
Colonel Davis said, your mission is to protect those bombers. Stay with them. Don't allow yourself to be drawn off by a decoy.
Under Davis's command, the all-black 332nd Fighter Group earns the name Red Tail Angels, becomes the most effective escort group in the 15th Air Force, and white bomber pilots start requesting them by name. But while the Tuskegee Airmen in Europe fight Hitler, in the United States, they fight Jim Crow. Colonel Robert Selway commands the 477th, the first black bombardment group, on a base with both black and white officers. He segregates them even though Army regulations prohibit this.
He came up with an idea that he'd separate them by classifying all of the white officers on the base as instructors, all of the black officers, 453 of them, as trainees.
In early April 1945, black officers organize a nonviolent protest, entering an officers' club restricted to instructors. Selway closes the club in response, making his segregation policy a base regulation and commanding every officer sign it.
He decided he was going to have us read a statement, sign it, and say we're going to obey it. I knew before I got there what I was going to do about it.
Selway orders the arrest of 101 black officers for refusing to sign.
If you do that in wartime, that's treason. You could be shot to death by firing squad.
Black press coverage embarrasses the War Department, leading General George Marshall to order the release of the 101 men on April 23rd. But Major General Frank Hunter, who enacted many of the segregationist policies against the 477th, adds letters of reprimand to each officer's permanent record.
After I'd been in the military about a week, I was going to stay for 30 years. I certainly didn't want to get out, but that letter.
Colonel Benjamin Davis replaces Colonel Selway, becoming the first African-American stateside-based commander in U.S. history. Morale improves, but the war ends before the 477th deploys.
We went into combat as a double V team. We said victory over Nazism and fascism in Europe and victory over racism in America.
3 years after the war ends, President Harry Truman orders the military to desegregate. The Air Force is the first branch to do so. But it's not for 50 years that Tuskegee Airmen will have Major General Hunter's letters of reprimand removed. In 1998, President Bill Clinton awards General Benjamin O. Davis, Jr. his 4th star.
We dared not fail. We knew that we had the future of our people, not just ourselves, riding on our shoulders. And I dare say every one of us felt that way.